to the deep dive. Okay, picture this. You're trying to share a message, a really radical one, something that flips everything people know upside down, and you're doing it in Rome.
Right, the heart of the empire, a place completely fixated on status, power, human achievement.
Exactly. So how did one man, Paul, find the sheer conviction to stand up and be unashamed? That's what we're diving into today. We've got excerpts from Paul's Gospel, the Unashamed Gospel, and a devotional on Romans 1.
Yeah, and our goal isn't just historical. It's about connecting Paul's challenges back then to the kind of pressures and maybe opportunities you face living out your own beliefs today.
We want to get into not just what he said, but why it still lands with such force.
It's still a foundation, absolutely.
So Paul kicks off his letter to the Roman believers, and it feels really personal, you know? He talks about this deep longing he has to visit them, not just to, like, give them a spiritual gift to build them up, but he says he wants to be encouraged by their faith, too. It's this mutual thing.
That reciprocity is beautiful. It shows community was central.
Yeah, and then he talks about feeling this obligation, almost like he owes something. To preach the gospel to everyone, he uses this phrase, both to Greeks and to barbarians, both to the wise and to the foolish.
And what's fascinating there, I think, is that Greeks and barbarians, that wasn't Paul throwing insults around.
Right.
It was actually his way of saying everybody, you know, from the superculture elites to the people Roman society considered, well, outsiders, unrefined. It totally underlines the gospel's reach. It just dissolves those labels society uses to divide people.
That's a great point. It shows how countercultural the message was even before he gets to the main event.
Definitely.
And that main event, it hits hard in Romans 1, verse 16. Paul just lays it out. I am not ashamed of the gospel. Just pause and think about that. Saying that so boldly when your beliefs could get you mocked, dismissed, or worse, what kind of conviction does that take?
Well, and he tells us why. He doesn't leave us hanging. He says right there, the gospel is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes.
What power of God?
Exactly. Not just a nice idea, not self-help. It's presented as this divine life-changing power, a force that works inside people, totally different from the kind of external power Rome valued. That's what fuels him. That's why he's not ashamed.
And that power connects straight into what he says next about righteousness, right? Which honestly is where it can sometimes get a bit confusing for people.
It can, yeah. But if you look at the flow, Paul continues saying that in the gospel, the righteousness of God is revealed from faith for faith. And then he quotes, the righteous shall live by faith.
From faith for faith. What does that really capture?
It's so rich. It basically means God's way of making us right with him, giving us his own kind of right standing. It starts with faith, completely initiated by faith, and then it's kept going by faith our whole lives.
Okay, so faith is the start and the fuel.
Kind of like the entry ticket and the roadmap for the journey. And this gift of righteousness, this right standing you get through faith and live out by faith, that's the bedrock. That's why Paul could be so bold.
And to really feel the impact of those words, I am not ashamed, we have to remember the setting. I mean, really picture it. These early Christians in Rome, often they weren't the movers and shakers. They didn't have the wealth, the fame, the connections that mattered in that huge, powerful city.
Right. They would have felt the pressure.
Totally. A real temptation to feel small, weak, maybe even, embarrassed about this faith that seems so different from what Rome valued.
And that brings up a really important question for you listening, because the sources we looked at are clear. That same kind of temptation is still around, very much so.
How so?
Well, think about our world. It often chases, outward success, the likes, the influence, getting validated by others. And that can create this subtle pressure, can it? To maybe hide your deepest beliefs or water them down so you fit in better.
Yeah, I see that.
But Paul's message cuts right through that. He reminds us the gospel is God's unstoppable power to rescue people and give them life. That kind of rescue, that transformation, nothing the world chases can actually offer that. No amount of status or likes comes close.
So the takeaway for you is pretty direct then. Paul saying this gospel message, it's not something you tuck away because you're nervous.
No.
It's this life-changing reality you live out, you share with boldness. You're actually carrying the most powerful message there is.
So maybe just think about this. Where in your life, maybe at work or school or even just scrolling online, where do you feel that little nudge to hide your faith, to downplay your convictions?
Yeah.
What might it look like just this week for you to live unashamedly, to carry this revolutionary message with both humility and confidence?